It is 6:36 this Friday morning. We're learning more about how local sheriff's departments are responding to recent protests and how they're staying safe during the coronavirus pandemic.
And there you see him right now. Joining us live via Zoom is Marshall County Sheriff Phil Sims. Sheriff Sims, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
We understand that Marshall County had a peaceful protest last weekend. So what did you learn there, sir, that could help as you prepare for the one that's happening this weekend in Guntersville?
Well, the one thing we learned that the protest, peaceful protest, was really put together very well by the organizers, and they worked very close with the law enforcement in my office, with Albertville, and all of our local law enforcement to make it very peaceful, to make it eventful. And we actually had a lot of support from the people who were marching, that were supporting the police, thanking us for our service and so forth. And we learned it's just a lot of people coming together with a common cause that want to have a peaceful demonstration, and we support that. We handed out water to the people marching because it was a hot day, and I think overall it went very well.
I got to tell you, there are a number of groups, including the NAACP, that are asking for things, Sheriff, like let's show body camera video. Let's have these community groups that are kind of taking a look and see how police are doing their job. Are you on board with some of that?
Well, that's something I would definitely like to sit down and talk to anyone about. And a lot of times in these body camera cases, a lot of that depends on the type of case it is. You don't want to release evidence that could be prejudicial to the either party, whether it's defendant or the one who's being accused. So that's a big that's a big concern. So there's sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But any policies involving communities, as far as transparency, I made a commitment to make my office as transparent as possible when I got elected. We've done that so far. We have a great relationship with our community, so I'd be willing to sit down and talk to anybody about any concerns or policies at any time.
Sheriff, you're really setting the example out there. How important are these conversations? A lot of them very difficult to have for some folks, but it is so very important to be able to have that open line of communication.
It is, and I've spoken with the event organizer here several times. She has spoken with the chief of police here in Guntersville and Albertville, and with the mayor here in Guntersville, or will be speaking with the mayor here soon. And it's just keeping that communication open so everybody understands, what's going on, the parameters, and everybody working together to make it peaceful. Last thing we want is any kind of, confrontation with anyone, or anyone come out and be violent or anything like that, which both parties are against. One thing that I was impressed with the protest is I think they had a few people that kind of may have got out of line. They handled that themselves. Mm-hmm. They handled it in party or in the march itself, and we didn't have to address it. They handled it, and they were true to their word, and I think that made a big difference.
And you are probably also keeping in mind, Sheriff, that a lot of people still have kind of this quarantine fatigue, if you will, so the emotions might run a little bit higher. When you talk about that, and you also talk about protests that have been happening, the potential for spikes in coronavirus. So what do you tell these folks this morning that are attending these protests, or even others, more and more people getting out and about? What do you talk to them about?
Well, that was a concern that we had with that we spoke about, but the majority of people in the protest from last Saturday, and I suspect they will this Saturday also, that a lot of them wore masks. Some of them kept a distance from each other, so everybody wasn't ganged up, walking too much in a group together, like just behind each other, walking over each other. There was some distance in place. A lot of people had masks on, and so as far as that concerned, they were following some social distance guidelines during the protest.
Okay, good to hear. That's good to hear. Marshall County Sheriff Phil Sims, thanks again for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We always enjoy talking with you, Sheriff. Time now is 6:40 on your Friday morning.